Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Arm of Truth Live number 406. We're talking about AI in schools today. But first, let's build some history. What is the purpose of education? There's always a particular purpose or outcome being achieved in the act and enterprise of training up children and young people. And that purpose isn't always easy to see today. So to help us see more clearly what that purpose is, we need to refine that question just a little bit, be more specific. And that question should be, what kind of person is the education system trying to create? That question opens the door to two of the most important categories of philosophy. It's ontology, the question of being, and the pertinent question there is, what is a child? And teleology, or the question of purpose. What is that child for? From the Christian worldview, the answers are clear. A child is an image bearer of the living God, fallen yet redeemable, created with eternal dignity, designed for community, for communion with his Creator. The child's purpose is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. That's 1 Corinthians 10:31. Now, whether secular or religious, the training of children in the fundamentals of grammar, logic, rhetoric, and whatever else they're doing today is always grounded in some presupposition of ultimate reality. In other words, what is right and wrong? What is being? The original intent of education from the earliest examples in the colonies and the new American Republic was discipleship. That is, the cultivation of the mind and heart in truth so that one might live faithfully before God. When that foundation is compromised or altogether lost, it doesn't mean that discipleship is no longer happening. The only difference is, what is the foundation? Or what is truth? Modern education has clearly strayed from its purpose and its grounding in truth. So let's just quickly trace the history of education in America. As you can see here, in early America, the Puritans established schools so that every child could read Scripture. That was the original purpose. You can see here, this is an interesting one that we found. The Old Deluder Satan Act of 1647 said, it being one chief project of that old deluder, Satan, that dragon, to keep men from the knowledge of the Scriptures. It is therefore ordered that every township shall set up a school, again, for the purpose of discipleship. So education at the beginning in our land was about guarding souls against deception, forming minds in truth, and preparing a people for covenant faithfulness. Now, move on into the early republic. Schooling in early America was designed to cultivate discernment and civil vigilance, grounded in the ultimate reality of Christian first principles. A major emphasis in public education at the start was also to train children to think critically for the purpose of defending the founder's vision of liberty against tyranny. Noah Webster. Let's make sure you can see this one. Another good one. Noah Webster, often called the schoolmaster of the Republic, wrote in his 1828 American Dictionary of the English Language, quote, "Every child in America should be acquainted with his own country to enable him to know and to appreciate the value of our free institutions by contrasting them with those of other countries, to learn the means of preserving his rights." Thomas Jefferson echoes this sentiment. He says, let's see here, there you go. If a nation expects to be ignorant and free in a state of civilization, it expects what never was and never will be. But with the spiritual drift away from those first principles, and under the influence of key secular humanists in the 19th century, American public education began its transformation to an apparatus of the state that would eventually devolve into this therapeutic mill of nonsense that we have today. Here's an example of that drift. Here's Horace Mann from 1848. He introduced the common school system, shifting education toward civic utility. In his 12th annual report, Mann declared, "Education beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of men, the balance wheel of the social machinery. Now notice that subtle shift. The child is no longer primarily seen as an image bearer of God, but as a social unit whose education serves the machinery of the state. Horseman's secularized education's purpose, not discipleship, but social cohesion. We come on down to John Dewey, right there. This is the real philosophical revolution. It came with Dewey in the early 20th century. In his Democracy and Education from 1916, Dewey wrote, "Education is not preparation for life. Education is life itself." On the surface, that sounds inspiring, doesn't it? But Dewey meant something radical. He was a relativist. He believed that education should not transmit fixed truths or eternal standards, but rather train children to continually adapt to social change. And he also wrote later on in the same book, the child is not born a citizen, but is made one through education. Now here, ontology is reduced to a social construct. The child is raw material molded into whatever evolving society requires. So this term, teleology, or purpose, or the end purpose, the outcome, is no longer about glorifying God. It's about serving democracy's progress. Again, that sounds right. But without the standard, it's going to go pear-shaped. All right, by the 1960s and the 70s, schools began shifting toward psychological and therapeutic aims. Today, this is crystallized in the social emotional learning, SEL, which claims to teach resilience and empathy and on, but often really functions as a moral and ideological reprogramming. For example, the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, CASEL, a leading SEL organization, defines its mission this way. SEL advances education, equity, and excellence through authentic school, family, community partnerships to establish learning environments and experiences that feature trusting and collaborative relationships that empower young people and adults to co-create thriving schools and to contribute to safe, healthy, and just communities. Again, it sort of sounds right, doesn't it? But notice the purpose. We always ask here, what is the fruit of the wisdom that we're hearing? Well, the purpose here is not truth. It's not righteousness. It's not wisdom before God. It's equity and co-creation, just communities. What's the standard? These terms are defined by ever-shifting cultural consensus. So what is the result? What kind of child is modern education attempting to create? Well, Horseman wanted to create the civic child, obedient to the machinery of society. Dewey wanted to create the progressive child, adaptable without fixed truth. And SEL today, the therapeutic child, identity shaped by consensus, values that are grounded in emotional affirmation. It's not a truth-seeking disciple of Christ, but a compliant subject of the secular order. Not a moral agent standing before God, but a global citizen serving ideological goals. And this brings us back to the central issue. Everyone has a purpose for what they do. But what is that purpose grounded in? If it's grounded in God's word, education produces free and virtuous people who live in truth. If it's grounded in human opinion, it produces generations ready to be molded by whatever the current feeling of the day is, whatever ideology is holding the cultural power. And that's why ontology, or the study of being, and teleology, the study of purpose or the outcome, that's why they matter. The child is an image bearer of God. The child is made to glorify God and live in truth. If you deny these, you will produce generations engineered for utility but stripped of wisdom, shaped for compliance but not righteousness. This is the tragedy of modern education. And this is why Christians, all of us, really must not merely critique, but recover the true purpose of education. And it's only when we return to this foundation. What is a child? What is he for? Can education lead to true liberty and flourishing in life before God? And that brings us to the topic of AI, artificial intelligence, and the Department of Education's new AI guidance. The White House's AI action plan and the pledge to America's youth. All of these signal that artificial intelligence, which is necessarily made in the image of man, and therefore reflective of fallen nature of mankind, is being exalted as the new foundation of learning, a new foundation of character formation, and even national destiny, sort of supporting the idea of a new civil religion. Federal policies are now directing billions of dollars toward AI-driven tutoring, curricula, and personalized learning platforms. Public-private partnerships with big tech and teachers unions are grooming educators to integrate AI into classrooms, and international bodies like the United Nations frame AI as essential to a proper global education. So behind the glossy mascots, these lofty promises, and the investor hype is a familiar pattern. Replacing wisdom with man's innovation. Reducing children to data points for economic utility. Enthroning technology as a savior. Now, for anyone who thinks we're opposed to technology, on the contrary, we're using it. This is how we're talking to you. It's one of humanity's God-given callings to be faithful stewards of his common grace gifts, using tools and innovations to serve others and to glorify him. So our warning is against exalting technology as a false foundation for truth and morality, because education is never neutral. And technological progress is not itself evidence of moral progress or really even a deeper grasp of truth. At its best, it's only the multiplication of information. But information without wisdom cannot result in a better system and will not, by its mere presence, produce healthier, more responsible people. In fact, information apart from wisdom, especially lots of it, most often magnifies evil and human folly. So what we're witnessing is not neutral progress, but the enthronement of a false foundation, one that can't uphold human dignity or secure true liberty. So we must be vigilant to see through this illusion, resist with discernment, and recover the true purpose of education, which is to conform hearts and minds to the truth, to Christ, who alone is the way, the truth, and the life. And that brings us to our highly effective and esteemed guest for today. You may know her as the Common Core Diva. Lynn M. Taylor is a nationally recognized researcher, writer, and speaker who has spent over 2 decades exposing this federal overreach, globalist agendas, all of these things that are reshaping American education. A former private educator, she's become a leading voice against Common Core, career and technical education, social emotional learning, and UN-influenced workforce training models that undermine truth and liberty. Through her platform, commoncorediva.com, commoncorediva.com. Go there. And her appearances across media, conferences, speaking at conferences, and publications. Lynn equips parents and citizens with meticulous research, practical resources, bold advocacy. She's been honored with multiple awards for her courage and clarity, and she's respected as both an expert, analyst, and a fearless defender of educational freedom. And with that, we welcome to the show, Lynn Taylor. How are you?
I'm fine, Brad. Thank you so much. And I want to add to your history timeline.
Please.
In Samuel Blumenfeld's book, where he wrote about the NEA as the Trojan horse, he revealed that in the, I think it was about the time that there was unrest in Scotland, there was a well-known socialist who came over to America, and he lands in New England, and he alone started the conversation about society as a whole can so much better educate children than the mom and dad. Because at that point in time, it was that there were one room schoolhouses, there were a lot of people who were homeschooling. So here comes this dyed in the wool socialist shaking up everything. And he's like, no, we have to have compulsory education. Now, compulsory education is the state telling you you must go to school from this age to this age. Now that was in the Northeast, and then of course when we had the war of aggression between the states, call it whatever you want to, it was not about slavery. It was about the economy. It was about so much more than the slavery was involved. But that's not the mainstream media's take on it. My point is
Right.
that attitude came south after the Civil War and started in Reconstruction. So that idea of compulsory society-driven education that had been up in one area of the country was now in the South. And of course, when the West was settled, it spread out that way. So you've got that socialistic root that came with compulsory education. And I've been doing some research into a book that was published out of England, and it's about the real life account of this one woman back in the day when Hitler was taking over, how she took a school and took the whole school and smuggled it out of Germany and into England to escape the persecution and the ideology that was coming with that societal influence of hatred, and this is the way we need to go, and this is the economy that we need, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to round that out a little bit, because that's how we ended up with a lot of what we have today. It absolutely is. So thank you for that introduction. And I wanted to point out, if you've not heard of the Silicon Valley, let's see, it's the Global Silicon Valley. They have been after education for years. In fact, early on in my blog, I did a article about them, and they had a 15-plank system of how to rework America. And near the top was, we need to embed Common Core into everything. And then down kind of in the middle, it was, well, we need to eradicate all the school boards. Well, with this shift in AI, you're not going to need people. So you're not going to need school boards. You're not going to need teachers. And they've just had a conference. And the theme of their conference was all about the executive immersion into the new digital transformation that must happen, and how they can disrupt. And I kid you not, they use this word. Here's the quote: disruption at every learning stage, because we have to bring in the new ways to learn. Well, part of that new shift is we're going to do away with things that are traditional, like traditional teaching or values, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is out of the paper of where I
yeah.
live. This is Mooresville. This is the new multi-billion-dollar school that is going to be built for children. Now, in this mock-up, if a playground is there, it's not very visible.
Yeah.
But if you go in and you read the article, it's all about, oh, sorry, it's not billions, it's millions. I'm sorry, it's 52 millions. It's an elementary school, and it's going to sit here and tell you, oh, yes, we'll have state of the art technology. We'll have state of the art this and state of the art that. Well, let's look at one thing about technology. Technology is so sensitive that by the time you get your smartphone from the store, it's already obsolete. They've already moved on to something else. So who's to say that technology is going to be lasting enough for us to be investing millions of taxpayer dollars into it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So what are we doing with our children? We are teaching them, we're modeling for them that it doesn't matter if they are put in the elementary school or the preschool program or even the early college program. We're showing them that we're lifting them up to the societal system that is bent on what? Skill-based mastery education, because an economy needs them to be a producer.
Atomization across the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
For everyone.
Absolutely. So there's another point I want to make. you have an administration that is telling you, on one hand, we're for the people. We're going to do anything we can for the people. And then on the other hand, it's let's push this AI envelope as far and as fast as we can. And so if you know anything about the new executive order that came out of Trump 2.0, it's this golden age, and you need to really do your biblical work on that one, about AI. And America has to be the global leader in AI. We have to rush to put in data centers everywhere, which means we have to fast track permitting and land zoning and all the things that go with it. And so in that mix is, of course, the White House creating an entire new arm of the government. And we'll get into that website in just a few minutes, but also with a pledge to the youth of America. So that's where I want us to start, if you would. And once you have that pulled up, if you would just read the first couple of sentences so people can understand. If they can't see the pledge, they could hear what it says.
Would help if I get it up. There we go. Okay. This is what we're looking for, right? The pledge to America's youth, investing in AI education. Okay, so someone would sign their name here, right? Or
oh yeah, you're supposed to put your name on the dotted line. That's huge.
Okay, so the undersigned here pledges to provide resources that foster early interest in AI technology, promote AI literacy and proficiency, and enable comprehensive AI training for educators.
Let me pause right there.
All right.
Comprehensive. Anytime a government entity uses comprehensive connected to education, it means every possible avenue that connects to education goes in with it.
Comprehensive. All right, and it keeps on going here. It says we pledge to invest in America's K through 12 students and teachers by providing resources that cultivate the skills and knowledge necessary for an AI-ready workforce and the next generation of American innovators. An AI-ready workforce.
AI-ready workforce. No longer a human being, but a what? Workforce-ready population. Why is that? Well, let's go back a few years to 2015. Two documents that President Obama was given. One was the nation's report card. The other was the PCAST report, President's Council of Advisors for Science and Technology. And in that particular report was how to use STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, as a marketing tool to create a curriculum, to create learning, so that it could create a new economy, so that it could create jobs that fill that that supply that economy for the greater global good. I kid you not.
Creating knowledge. That's a really important point.
No, it's not. It's not creating knowledge. It's creating the illusion of knowledge.
Exactly. And this is big.
Yeah, but if you scroll down on that pledge, there are, in alphabetical order, so many of these same groups
that
when Common Core rolled out, they're pick me, I'll do it. And here they are, they're doing it now, but they're doing it under the guise of STEM or STEAM or STREAM. And with each addition to the letters that fill out science, technology, engineering, and math into STEAM and STREAM, you're including more and more subjects. For example, STREAM, science, technology, reading, writing, engineering, arts, math. STEAM, science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. But this was a marketing tool that was cooked up by the UN. They brought it into the National Science Foundation, which is a U.S. Congress-funded, which means taxpayer pays for it, non-government agency. And in this report, they're going, all eyes are on Common Core, and we'll just sneak this STEM stuff in, and nobody will ever connect it. Well, they didn't count on people like me, because I absolutely did, and it's on my blog. There are scores of articles that tie Common Core as the global education it was meant to be, to go with the one world curriculum, to go with the one world religion, to go with the one world government, to the UN and their workforce ready. So anytime you hear anything about workforce ready, we're ditching academics or true academics, which taught wisdom and things like that, for this quasi AI level of mediocrity.
Right. And what we know too about the Sustainable Development Goals, which STEM and STREAM and all that are compliant in, the AI will be enforcing and nudging people into these SDG approved moral frameworks.
Absolutely. Good
Yeah.
point. Absolutely, it will. Okay, so what else do we have for folks? Well, do you want to play the sales pitch, Brad? That is the about a minute long of how wonderful AI is supposed to be for our children and education. That was the second link that we had.
The YouTube video part.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, this should be very inspiring, folks.
Oh, yes, we should be so lucky.
You know, they look so happy, don't they? Look
Yes,
how
they
happy everybody
do.
is. They're just
Well, doesn't it also all of the marketing and the whole thing? It seems like straight out of the World Economic Forum.
Oh,
Their
well,
their
yeah.
chop shop, their
Yeah,
marketing chop
yeah,
shop.
absolutely. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what they got for us. Now, here we go. Here's the brand new arm of the government. This one is AI. Then you see the seal, you see the eagle, and the arrows and the oak branch or olive branch, whatever that is. And then what do you see behind it? The president. You don't see United States of America. You see the president. And then here we go.
interesting
AI,
point. Yes, that's
yeah,
a good point.
AI education, but it's got a .gov on it, so I guess that makes it okay. But yeah, here we are. It says here as part of the
There we go.
initiative that Trump did through the executive order, which I might add,
There you
the
go.
executive order has been abused by not just this administration, but almost every other administration in recent history. Because if you look at the purpose of what an executive order was to do, it was effective in the maintenance of the executive branch.
Mm.
It was never meant to create national de facto rule.
Right.
Now, people will argue, oh, but the Department of Education's in the executive branch. So, the executive order stands. BS. No, it doesn't. Because why? It's an unconstitutional use of an executive order, giving an unconstitutional department some sort of sense of quasi rule, hence de facto. All right, so we're moving on here. It's going to set up a task force, y'all. We're going to have a task force. What does that mean? Appointed people in charge of an agenda over education that you may not necessarily want or support, but your money's going to, whether you like it or not. And what is this going to do? Is going to implement a presidential challenge for AI, as well as setting up public-private partnerships. Fascism, anyone?
Oh yeah.
To provide resources for K through 12 AI education. So forget if Johnny and Susie can read. Can they push a stupid button on a computer? Can they give their biometrics enough to a computer that it learns what they're going to say and think and represent them falsely? That's what we're setting up for our children. Now, it goes on to tell you, through these efforts, the nation's youth will have opportunities to cultivate skills and understanding necessary to thrive in an AI driven workforce. Nation's youth. Where have we heard that before? Did someone somewhere in a failed regime
Yeah.
the nation's youth program to kind of push their agenda.
Well, we had right. Some we had a Red Guard version. We've seen
Yeah.
this play
Yeah.
back before.
It's the Western Cultural Revolution.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. And there we go. Okay, so now we want to see what does the good old U.S. Department of Education have to say when it comes to guidance. Now, what is guidance from a federal unconstitutional agency down to the states and the local school districts? It's technical bulletins or teams of people who come in. Oh, we're here from the government. We're here to help you.
Meddling.
Yeah, exactly. And funding is always tied to it, but they'll call it support. So I want you to think of a football game, and this is the water guy or the water gal, and they're running out on the field and they're giving you that water bottle, and you're going to trudge on in that game. Only instead of maybe water, it's indoctrination. Okay, let's move on, please. Okay, so we have a dear colleague letter. Oh, now if you have read any of the other dear colleague letters through other administrations, it's supposed to make it sound like we're all in this together. So while we are, here's what you should do. Okay, I printed this out. This was dated July 22nd, 2025. Guidance on the use of federal grant funds, taxpayer money, deferred loans, which must be paid back either in interest or a pound of flesh. That's not written in here. To improve education outcomes. Oh my gosh, how many times have I told y'all I hate when the government uses education outcomes or outcomes tied to education?
That's what that's the beginning where we're talking about what is your purpose?
Yeah.
What kind of child are you actually trying to create? So that
But
they're giving
when
away their purpose.
Yeah, but when the government says outcome, I don't care if it's in education or healthcare, they are telling you this is the box you have to fit in, and whether you fit in it or not, we really don't care. But by the time we're done with you, you'll be in the box. Okay, this is all about, dear colleague, as part of the U.S. Department of Education's departments. Somebody needed to grammar check that because that's just a mess. Commitment to educational excellence, innovation, and opportunity for every learner. Don't miss that. This is not just public K through 12 people. The department is issuing this guidance regarding the use and formula for discretionary. That means the states have to compete against each other. So, it's like, throw out the money and whoever grabs it first, they get it. And this is all supposed to enhance teaching and learning. And it goes on to tell you AI-based high-quality instructional materials. AI is part of technology that is still so new. We don't know where it's going. So how can it be high quality yet? Do these people have all loss of common sense? I mean, I know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer on some things, but good old common sense really needs to come in here. Common Core came at this with high quality standards, and look at the shape of the education system. It's not high quality. It's not even lowbrow. It's abysmal. And we're going to continue this farce. AI enhanced high impact tutoring. Oh, and it goes on to tell you that college and career pathways. Okay, workforce readiness. Oh, principles for responsible uses. Oh, let's give this one a quick go over. Educator-led AI. Educator-led AI should support teachers, providers, tutors, advisors, and education leaders. Ethical.
Yep. There you go.
Okay. The way that it's being used as a data collecting mechanism to slot your child is already unethical, but you're going to preach at us about or guide us about what's ethical with AI? I don't think so. Accessible. That means everybody has to have it. Okay. Data protective. Oh, please. And they base it on the existing FERPA, which is the Family Education Right to Privacy Act, which Obama gutted to open up Pandora's box, to keep it so that instead of your data on your family being private, especially that student, it's now open to any and every data company, as well as those who use educational data, down to your college students who do thesis on educational reforms. So, and I've seen this happen where the parents are told, oh, but the data only stays local. It only stays right here in the state of North Carolina. And this was a few years ago, so I imagine this number is no longer valid. There were at least 15 layers in addition to the one or two that the parents knew about. So that means 15 different other agencies or entities connected to big tech had access to your child's data, aggregate or disaggregate, it didn't matter. That data ends up in the Department of Education with the Institute of Educational Statistics, which shares its data with the International Labor Organization, which shares its data with the World Bank for their educational projects, as well as the United Nations. So don't tell me that data is protected.
That sounds a lot like, too, Summer, we've been talking about this a lot, what they're doing with the healthcare system, too,
Yeah.
trying to get they want to make it, especially with this new, what was it called? The new Stargate, not Stargate. What's it called? Is that it? No, not Stargate. What was it called? The new healthcare AI initiative, something like that. Anyway,
Oh, they'll put
so
a
it's
nice
available
sounding name on
everywhere.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so every agency, institution, corporation has access to, but it's but of course this is for your good.
Well,
Oh,
they always
yeah.
sell it as convenience, of course.
Convenience will be the death
Or
of it.
innovation. Or
Right.
see,
Yeah.
and that's innovation is the government's buzzword for we're going to find more ways to data track you. And what do you think AI is going to do? It's
Yeah,
already doing it. So yes, I know there are some productive uses for technology. There are some productive
Yep.
uses for AI, but this is nefarious. This is that we're going to put you in the frog pot and we're going to start turning up the heat and hope the heck you don't realize that your backside's now on fire.
Yeah, that's innovation apart from wisdom. It's just
Right.
innovation for the sake of innovation, information that the Silicon Valley techno optimists, Andreessen and people like that really believe that all you need to do to solve any problem is just keep more information, more technology, just keep, but where's the wisdom? Where's the foundation? It's just, as you said, it just creates these data points. Everyone is a formula, an equation.
But it's interesting you just said that because it brought to mind the number of actual physical bridges that have been built by students who have been so steeped in this Common Core globalized education that the bridges are failing faster than the bridges that were built by those of us who came before us who didn't have that kind of education. They actually knew how to build a bridge and it lasts. Or buildings. Have you seen the number of buildings that have been constructed with so poor of material that and ethics that people don't have time to even get out to save their own lives? But
Yeah.
this is under this globalization plan that, oh yes, we'll just pile on more technology, we'll just pile on more, information. We're so information blinded that we've gone absolutely stark raving stupid.
Well said.
Yeah, and it's all presented as if it's about care and inclusivity and all of this, but and our
Oh,
audience well
yes.
knows that this is
Yes.
really at the heart of it. They're getting rid of all traces of God and divine law,
And
and
who needs the parents? Who needs the
and who
teachers?
needs the parents? Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah.
it's and also it's like the jobs that are going to be available for Generation Alpha and Generation Beta are going to be highly in the medical tech sector as they, go toward these career paths to transhumanism, you know? So,
Oh,
and
yeah, because
yeah,
those technocrats
devaluing,
have to win. They have to.
right.
Yep, they
And
have to win.
getting human beings to view, instead of being viewed in the image of God, but actually being dehumanized and, oh, we're just like animals, hackable animals, as Yuval Harari says. So it's all heading in a very sinister direction.
Well, absolutely. And that just makes me think of the whole shift in the politics and the economy. And, it was explained to me that it's not so much about politics as it is economy, because politics can't survive without the economy, but economy can survive without the politics, if that makes any sense.
It sure does.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. All right, now
Okay.
we do know that we have one of the teachers' unions, and please don't tell me, oh, it's a left-leaning teachers' union. Honey, I know this, but let's think about it. There's more than one teachers' union, and they all lean the same way, and that is through to the UN. So when you see that, oh, yes, this company has partnered with the American Federation for Teachers or the National Education Association, don't think that the other one is still lily white and driven pure, because they're not. They're all in this together because, again, they are partners with the United Nations and the international teachers associations that do exist. But I wanted the audience to see this. This is from a website called Share My Lesson. And I wanted folks to see this just absolutely little. I think this is the one. Oh, yeah, there it
Do I
is.
have that link, Lynn?
Yes, you do. It's the
Okay.
Share My Lesson. It's the little pop-up. And the little pop-up says, try Ed Brain, and you'll see AI in brown letters. And it's powered by OpenAI. But this little, it's a cute little robot, and it's supposed to enhance you because it's your AI-powered classroom companion now.
Okay, let me make sure I get that up here because
Okay, that was under the chalk beat. You had that.
yeah,
And
okay,
then,
yeah,
yeah,
we go.
there it is.
Got
Yeah.
chalk beat. All
So I
right.
wanted folks, if they can see this, and if not, then
We
you
see
could,
it.
yeah, you see it. Okay,
Yes.
if you're not where you can see the visual, you can see that this little bot has a human brain, and then all these wires outside of it connecting it to what? Technology.
The Internet of Things, of course.
Yes, the Internet of Things. And we're supposed to be encouraged to try that. Oh, yummy. Oh, yummy. Very good. Oh, we'll move on.
There's
No,
the little
yeah,
guy.
no thank you. Thank you, but
No,
no thank you.
I don't want to do that. Where did my mouse go? My mouse has now disappeared. There it is.
And it does look a lot like Hello Kitty.
It does. You are absolutely right. All
Yeah.
right.
Cute and sweet and
Oh,
cuddly.
but here's the thing. I wanted folks to see this as well. This is not about innovation. It is not with equipping your child with the latest, greatest things since sliced bread. It is about the money. And here we have from the EdTech Investors website. Okay, here we go. And it tells you the AI has funding and market trends in ed tech and the investments and opportunities, and it's all about AI. Here we go. Mobile learning, tutoring, data analytics, focal points for the ed tech sector. They'll drive growth with AI becoming a crucial component for any startup company. Mobile learning is also gaining prominence because it's so accessible. Anybody, anytime, anywhere can learn. We heard that during COVID. Okay, tutoring, and it goes on to tell you that, these people who are driving these technologies, they're going to be the ones in charge. Personalized learning. Now, let's start there because, that was another of the BS and horse hockey lies that Common Core and STEM were supposed to give you was, oh, yes, we're going to have a personalized education because you know what? No one cares more for Johnny and Susie than I do as your teacher or your algorithm or your computer test. Personalized learning is an absolute farce because there is no personalization once it gets through to that computer and that algorithm. Yes, it's personalized in the way that it will stack you and track you, and it will use biometrics to gauge your body gaze, your heartbeat, how much you sweat. Based on what answers you give, it'll dumb down or smarten up to a certain degree, whatever it is you're working on. So that's your level of personalization. So they're not lying when they say it's personalized, they're lying about what it does. So people hear personalized and think, oh, I'm going to get a better education when I send my child to this school. No, you're not. It's an illusion. It absolutely is an illusion. Okay, what else do we have for folks? Okay, I want you to see, this is from my blog. This was from 2018, and this is about personalized learning. And for those who can't see it, do you want to describe what they see, what you're seeing, Brad?
On your website, personalized learning is a creative delusion, is what you've said here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're getting the thumbs down from the Roman emperor.
From the emperor, yes.
Okay, so this was also embedded in the Every Student Succeeds Act because they were somehow going to get a better level of information. Well, it's the same as everybody else was getting. Then it went into virtual learning. Then it was, going on to tell you that, there's nothing further from the truth. And I gave you at that point the most relevant resources that I can. This will probably still be relevant today simply because it will tell you here that OutSchool might still be around. And it says it's an online marketplace. Don't we have that in healthcare too? Mm-hmm. That teachers will be able to purchase classes. And it matches them with their payment processing service so they can get their material. Does that sound like I'm really interested in having you be equipped with the best thing for your personal lesson for your students? No, it really, really doesn't. Let's see here. And I go on to tell you who these people are tied with. They were tied with the edtech industry, which we just looked at on a very recent article. Goes on to give you some of the names and places and people that you can find this particular agenda coming from. So, this is about money. This is not about quality education. It absolutely isn't. Okay, that leads us to the United Nations.
Yay. Lynn, I'm going to ask you a question about that. Sure. Because you are the Common Core Diva, and there's a something that I don't think people may realize about that. Okay. That this is not a curriculum that like your local school gets together and comes up with based on their own training. This is it true? I'm asking because I'm not sure. This is what I remember. But these curricula are created by a corporation, by people at the top. Education really should be from the bottom up.
Absolutely.
But is this true that they would create these curricula in a think tank, for example, and then it would be spread throughout?
Absolutely. Why do you think that there was why do you think there was never an end copyright date to the Common Core state standards? Because they're still in use. It was open-ended as a copyright for a reason. That's because the National Governors Association, the NGA, and the CCSSO, which stands for the Council of Chief State School Officers, they each own 1/2, which makes a whole, to the Common Core state standards. Now, Betsy DeVos during Trump 1.10 told us that the Every Student Succeeds Act had killed Common Core, and she lied through her stupid teeth. No, it did not. ESSA further codified the use of Common Core, especially through its college and career readiness, which is why you have seen some of the states since then change it from Alabama Common Core to Alabama College Career Ready, or North Carolina Essential Core Standards, or you name it. insert any name you want. You still look at the applications, you still look at the funding, you still look at the curriculum. That copyright is still there. It will not go away. And this is coming from a top-down system instead of the bottom up like it should be. So yeah, you can go to the local school board and you can push back on some of the curriculum that's used. Will you be successful in getting 100% of it out of the way? No, because it's tied to the testing, the assessments. And that was another caveat in the Every Student Succeeds Act. And the reason why Common Core was kept was because the data that had been already amassed and collected by each state had to not only continue to match the previous data, which was Common Core, which meant it had to continue to be, but it now had to marry with the region that you're sharing information with. In other words, for North Carolina, it would have been our test had to align with North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Tennessee. If you look at the regional boards of education that we have across the nation, you have what's known as the SREB, Southern Regional Education Board. That is over 7 states. Then you have the Northwest Education Association. You have them all over the country. These were regionally sharing data. And the reason why is because when you set up all the hemming in that has to go in with the regionalization that the UN needs for its plan to work for the Sustainable Development Goals, you can't go outside your region. You'll be lucky if you can go outside of your state by the time this is done. But the data had to marry within the region. You see where I'm going?
These for in your article here, the ESSA article, the LEAs, the local education agencies.
Yep.
For example.
Now, those are not just your school boards. Those could be any entity, like an after-school club. It could be a local library. So it's not just your school board. You need to know who your local education agencies are, because they are getting grants and sub-grants to help push this agenda, this AI agenda. Go look at your library, for Pete's sake. Look at a state level where it's funded, how it's funded, and then go visit your local library just to see how much has changed. If you want to find a book that is really old, it's either under serious lock and key in a special collection, or it's not there.
We read a post just the other day about, on that point, I forget who it was, but it was on Substack, where someone had gone into a bookstore for teachers, and it might have been a used bookstore, which is even more interesting, because she said it had this real year zero feel to it, because you couldn't find the old books, but all these new books that are pushing this were plentiful.
Yeah. I started noticing that trend probably about 2012, because our local library down the street, they had this free bin, and that's where all the old books went. And I was starting to notice, okay, anything that predated 2008 was gone, or they were getting rid of it. They now sell them for $0.25 a piece. So believe me when I say I have gone to the library multiple times to do nothing but to buy old books, because I'm going to save as many old books as I can, because people need to understand we're not all a bunch of blooming idiots. Anyway, let's look. Speaking of blooming idiots, let's go look at the UN.
All right, let's do.
Okay, for their artificial intelligence page, look at what the tagline is. Please, peace, dignity, and equality on a healthy planet. How can you have a healthy planet when you're knocking down all the farms and killing all the crops and telling everybody you can't eat meat because it'll fart too much?
Right on.
Sorry. Anyway, that has nothing to do with artificial intelligence, or maybe it does, because if you wipe out all the farmland, then you can put up a data center and you can feed people artificial garbage and say it's healthy. Okay, from the first steps in the mid-20th century to present day, artificial intelligence has been rapidly transforming our world. AI includes a diverse range. There's your diversity plug, Summer, of technologies that can be defined as self-learning, and adaptive. Yep, it's going to track you till it knows you. It can be passed off as you. It can be categorized based on technologies, purposes like facial or image recognition. And here's the danger with that. It will have the capability to mimic you so much that it will literally put words in your mouth that you didn't say, but you're going to be held accountable for that. That's what we're teaching. And we want our children to learn how to do this. That's the danger with coding. You're setting them up to become those little spies, to earn those little pins that if they, the Nazi regime used to do this. They would have collaborators and they would have little pins. And as long as you had that little pin, nobody was going to mess with you. But what were you doing? You were snitching right and left on everybody you could that didn't fit the narrative. Only now we're using digital badges to pull this off. Okay. Language understanding, problem solving. Okay. If you can't build a bridge, how do you expect someone to solve a problem and it really be a solution? Because this is still laboring under the assumption that as long as you can rationally explain 2 + 2 being 10, we're taking facts out of it and we're throwing in conjecture. How is that wisdom? How is that progress?
This is really there were many good things that came from the Enlightenment, but one of the bad ones was that the idea that reason is really the God, and that you could really rationalize anything if you just keep going. All you need is more information today, perhaps more technology.
What it taught our children was how they could just shut BS because it was passed off as rationalization. Oh, well, you don't think 2 + 2 is 4? Well, why not? I think it's 6. Well, explain it. Now, how they explained it, I don't know, because there's no mathematical way it can be 6. It's 4, always will be. It's a math fact. That's what a real bridge is built on, a math fact.
This is going to train kids to just reject absolute truth, first principles. Well, they won't reject them. They won't even know they exist.
Yeah. But let's look at this. We're going to use AI as a force of good. We're going to rope in Sustainable Development Goal number 2 and 15, along with 3 and 4. Well, what is 2?
Crickets.
Isn't it the zero hunger? Or is that the first one?
Let's just get them up here.
Yeah.
And we'll just look at them.
Yeah. What is number 2? I know 3 is health, 4 is education, and 15, I think,
you got
is.
You
okay. So 2 was no hunger. Mm-hmm. Now, the only one I'm blanking on is 15. Right, but that's going to tie to education, whatever it is.
Life
15,
on land.
Yeah. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Look at there. Again, arguments for not having data centers. Okay. Anyway, seeking global coordination. Coordination. Ugh, yes, I did go to school. Seeking global coordination for AI governance, because we can't have a world government without a global coordination. Now, can we? I'm being so snarky. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, it's. I feel you. I feel you.
Okay.
Righteous indignation.
Okay. Here we go. This is about a 4-minute video. And this is where we see a meerkat that has been tricked out with AI. And I feel so bad for this meerkat. I know it's an artificial intelligence image, but I feel so bad for the real meerkat. But if you would, this is called the deep fake.
Oh, okay. I've got that. I have that right here.
Yes, you do. It's about 4 minutes.
From UNESCO?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. All right. Here we go.
You see that poor thing.
Yeah. What?
It's scary the way it's hooked up. I'm sorry. That's just scary.
Yep. No volume.
Well, the links will be in there for the archive. So if people want to, hear the audio, they can have access to it.
Yeah. I'm getting it through my. But some are saying we're not getting it on the show. Okay. Sorry, guys. But we'll have all of these links in the
Yeah,
description of this video.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
All
if
right.
there is no audio, then here's what I wanted you to answer. Did you see the use of yellow and red throughout the video?
Yes.
Okay, that's to play into your psychological being. And the reason I know this is because the colors are used for the Sustainable Development Goals.
Mhm.
That's the reason why you see them in the colors that you see them. In 2017, I sat down in my dining room and I made it was just over an hour-long video all about the UN grasp on education here in America. And I spent probably about 7 minutes going through the color psychology. And that's what I want us to end on so that people
Okay.
can understand how you're being played. So when you hear the SDGs, don't just turn off and go, oh no, I already know all this. Stop and look at the psychological stuff they're waging with the particular goal. And you want to start about 12:45 on this one. I hope that you could get audio on this one. So you may want to check that.
So this will be you, right?
Yep, that's going to be yours truly. Much younger.
Yeah, I don't know why we're not getting audio on these because it's not there shouldn't be, but
Okay. But yeah, I go through. Okay, so if you can't hear, that's fine. But just know it's about 7 minutes worth of going through the colors and what they mean and how they're being used in our society. Because this is not just school. This AI is not just school. It's culture, people.
right. We'll make sure this link is below because folks should listen to this.
But that's all I have for you guys today.
Well,
That was a lot.
That's an excellent spot too. And we're actually right at, where is it at? There it is. We're right at the just over the hour mark. That might make it more
palatable for people.
More people might watch it if I don't start talking and take this thing to 3 hours.
I
know. Okay, so that's it.
Well, let's see. Is there anything anything you think of here that we want to?
No, I think you did it was wonderful. You gave people a very clear picture of what's actually what they say, and then how to think critically about what's happening. And it's sobering, and it's a message that all of us are benefiting from to know about. So I encourage everyone to please share this video and to like it. And even if it's just a little emoji underneath to help spread the word. And we're just really grateful for Lynn for coming on to Armor of Truth and helping us get this message out. Thank you so much.
Lynn, make sure everybody knows how to find you. Let's commoncorediva.com and where you're going to be.
AI, if you can't find me, AI will find me.
Yeah.
Right.
They already know where I live, people. It's okay.
That's right.
No, it's commoncorediva.com. If you wish to financially bless any of the work that I do for you, I receive donations happily. I use PayPal. If you don't trust the technology, get in touch with Summer and Brad, and I'll make sure they know how to use snail mail to get to me. But yes. I do ask, if you cannot bless financially, please pray, because it's amazing the people that God has put in my path, as well as had me be put in their path to help everyone understand that this is not about the government loving and caring for your child as you can, because
Right.
God knows that that is your responsibility. In fact, you were tasked with that responsibility to be the nurturer, the teacher, the mentor, the everything that our system is trying to take your place on. So, you don't
Yeah.
like it, then good, fight back. And if you don't know how, email me, info@commoncorediva.com. We can set up a workshop and we can absolutely talk turkey.
That sounds like a great
Yes.
opportunity. Now take advantage of that. info@commoncorediva.com.
That's
Correct.
right.
All right.
Thank you.
If you
You're
guys
welcome.
comments, ask your questions there, give your objections or whatever you want, share your experiences if you're seeing this, especially if you're seeing this and you want to share your experiences, because that's really helpful when we
Yeah.
Yeah.
can this crowdsource this information
Or
and
if
get it
anybody
all
has
together.
a question they want to ask Lynn in the chat right now, give a shout.
Yeah. We've this is interesting too, Lynn. Maybe for just a second here, Crystal, one of our faithful viewers for many years here was
Yes.
said here that she's talking about how the school system had turned her oldest son into a person who lives off of emotion and thinks the government should take care of everyone.
Yeah.
Basically, a
The
little
nanny
socialist.
state. Yep.
Yeah.
Nanny state. Good conformer. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if what would you if a parent comes to you and is just says this to you. What kind of advice would you give someone who is struggling with this and is just coming into this awareness?
First of all, I would tell them that they're not alone, because each of us has experienced, maybe not in this exact situation, but each of us have experienced being in similar situations, and we've always had help. Asking for help is not a bad thing. Help is a 4-letter word, but we need to encourage using it. I would also urge them to, if they are a person of the Christian faith, hey, have you talked with anyone who is helping you with your faith walk, your pastor, your any of those people? Do you have like-minded homeschoolers? If you're homeschooling, if you're in the traditional system, do you have someone who has voiced that they're just as concerned? If so, you have an ally, and allies are a good thing, because we were not made to be alone. We were made to be relational people. And why? Because we're the hands and feet of Christ, and you can't really have the hands and feet of Christ if you only have one person, and I mean that figuratively, not literally. Okay. I would also urge them to, have you addressed your school board? Have you addressed the people who are in charge of your curriculum? Have you addressed the people who make the laws that guide the school? Where is the funding coming from? Because there's no better activist than a parent who's ticked off. Now, I know there's the
Exactly.
famous saying out there that says, no one does better research than a worried mom. Honey, I'm not worried. I've not been worried since the day I found out a bit about this. What I have been is mad. And what I have been is, let's talk about it. So that's what I would encourage people to do, is take that disgust and let's turn it into a way to politely but firmly say, this is not happening. I'm not going to let this happen. Because there are ways we can firmly do this and never say a bad word, never raise a fist, and never use anger out of order.
Amen.
These are all very well supported biblical principles that you're mentioning here, and that is the best place to leave this today, I think. Right there with that
Absolutely.
information. If you guys, again, info@commoncorediva.com if you've got questions for Lynn, because she's the expert here, and you can reach her there. And if you want to come through us, you got some questions for us, please, hello@armoroftruth.net. You can also find us over on Substack. And Lynn, thank you very much for being here with
You're
us. This has
welcome.
been an excellent download of info.
Okay.
And we really do pray that this is going to help people. It's going to help them
Yeah.
feel, like you said, like they're not alone, and that we can do something about this.
Absolutely,
It
we
doesn't have to
can.
happen to us.
That's right. It doesn't. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, Lynn,
Bye
thanks.
bye.